Hi, and welcome to another fabulous episode of Thyroid Refresh TV, a podcast dedicated to helping you live a thyroid healthy lifestyle. We're so glad to be back with you again. Of course, I'm Dana Bowman.
And I'm Ginny Maher, and we are the dynamic duo behind Thyroid Refresh and Thyroid 30. And we're thrilled to be here today with Diane Kazer to talk about breast implant illness. If you have breast implants or are considering getting them, you don't want to miss this show, guys. So welcome, Diane. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you, my fellow blonde sisters, for having me.
Right?
Yeah.
And before we jump in, I want to tell all of those people out there who do not know the infamous Diane's background and story. She is a former pro soccer player turned functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner and holistic health coach. She's a very courageous visionary in the world of hormones and detox, empowerment and self-love. And she is the creator of the Chi program. Is that how you say it? Is it CHI or Chi?
Yep,
Chi program and podcast, Cleanse Your Body, Heal Your Hormones, Ignite Your Life, which includes the T.I.T.S method, which I'm just going to go ahead and say TITS, to help women reverse breast implant illness by addressing toxicity, infection, trauma, and shame. And her mission is to help women get the body they want, the energy they crave, and the life they deserve in a matter of weeks, even if they're struggling for decades. So that is her amazing story. And I had the pleasure of meeting her in person just last month. And I'm so glad to see you on the show. Thanks, Diane.
Yeah, thanks for the amazing introduction that I think I wrote. Maybe my PR guy did. I can't remember. I'm so happy to be here, you guys. Thank you for making this a priority. Thank you for bringing this topic to light.
We're excited to have you, and this is actually not the first time this has come up on the show. We have someone who's done numerous workout videos for us, Marianne Barry of Realign Therapy, and she was on the show because she's got this amazing story where she was in a wheelchair, started with a hip issue, she just went downhill, and in hearing her whole story on the show, we said, what was it that really helped you start turning this, downward spiral around? You know what it was? Getting her breast implants removed. She said, I really think that was what started this whole physiological just fallout in her life. And now she's doing great.
She is. And she had some kind of she has a theory or some issues with her back. So it was her back was hunching because of her breast implants, which caused some pelvic issues and alignment issues. And it was just this if you can imagine, we're meant to have what we have in our body. And that's why our body is the size and shape that it is. It's crazy. And I actually have implants and have planned to get them taken out. It's on my vision board for 2020. It is happening. I mentioned that before. Very excited to get that done. But the other day I was talking to my husband and I was like, how much do you think each one of these things weighs? And he's like, at least a couple pounds each. So bonus.
Well, what's CC for yours?
I mean, getting them out will be a bonus to take that heaviness off of me, the heaviness off of me and the back and the pelvis and the whole thing. So anyway.
Diana, I mean, it's not just the implants, it's for so many, and your focus is thyroid, and for a lot of women who suffer with thyroid problems, it's weight loss resistance, right? Fat loss resistance. And I weighed my breast implants when I took them out, which of course, I was hunched over. My ribs are all popping out. My ribs were always out. That's how I knew I needed to get them out. They were always out of place. My chiropractor, I'm I'm not going to come here 3 times a week just to put my ribs back in place without asking the question is why are they out of place so much and so often? But I weighed my implants when I took them out. They were 1.1 pound, 2 ounces each. So imagine that, just a little bit. Imagine just carrying around a 2-pound dumbbell right in your cleavage at all time and then wondering what that does to your posture over 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. And there's also lots of studies that talk about this misalignment of a spine. But I also lost 15 pounds in 1 month after I had them removed. I did not have that much weight to lose. I was 152 when I went into surgery, and then I was 137 4 weeks after. So, we teach a lot of this stuff that we'll talk about later in the detox protocol, because just removing your implants is not enough. There's a lot more damage left over that we can talk about. But it's talk about a weight off our chest, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've been really excited to have you on the show because this is a very important issue, you know, it's because I think most of us know at least a couple people who have breast implants, who are considering breast implants. I mean, this is such a common thing anymore. How many women how many women have breast implants? Do you know? Is this like, is it 1 in 10? What are the stats on that? I'm curious.
Close. It's close. And it's hard to float that, right? We know that about 50,000 women removed them in 2017. But we also don't know if they removed them and replaced them, or if they removed them and had other kinds of surgeries. We know that about 50,000 women removed them in 2017. We know that there are several hundreds of thousands of women getting them. And it's, look at Instagram, it's kind of on the rise still, even though there's, hashtag breast implant illness. And there are hundreds of thousands of women in Facebook groups now that are educating themselves on what is this breast implant illness. And we have our own Facebook group, Reversing Breast Implant Illness with Sarah and Diane, that we talk about all this stuff. But it's estimated that 10 to 15% of women have them. And with breast cancer on the rise, that is also what women get after they have mastectomies, if that's the route that they go. That is the only route that they are offered, where there really are other routes they can take now, which is really awesome and looks beautiful. So there are alternatives now. Yeah.
So tell us your story. How did you become an expert on breast implant illness?
I got really sick and almost died, which is a great way. My name is Di, and I felt like I was dying through the whole process. So I'll start with why I got them, and that was about a decade ago. And it was, you guys know where Orange County, California is. Southern California. If you move down here, you have to get boobs. You have to fit in, and I didn't necessarily not have boobs, but I sold my financial planning practice, moved down here, and I was like, what do I want to do to reinvent my life? I was in partial retirement, and I was like, what do I want to do? So I got back into fitness again. I was a personal trainer at the age of 17. So I've always been into fitness. And you don't really put together professional athlete and fake boobs, right? Like, it just doesn't make sense. My ego was definitely leading the way when I first moved down here, when I became a bikini competitor. And that's where you lose a lot of fat. So I went from like 25% body fat as a pro athlete. Well, at the time I was playing semi-pro. And I was 30 years old, but I wasn't eating really healthy. I didn't really even know how to eat healthy. And that was one of the cool things that the bodybuilding lifestyle taught me, is how to eat 6 meals a day and, look at green things and eat proteins and prioritize protein and healthy fats. But it was also I had a metabolic issue from eating so much food. And then on top of that, got fake boobs about 6 months into my training journey. So I did my first couple bikini competitions. I won the second one, qualified for nationals. And at that time I was 10% body fat. And they said, Diane, in order to make it to the pro level, in order to win and earn your pro card, in order to be on the magazines, in order to get sponsored as an athlete like everybody else is doing in this industry, you need fake boobs. And at first I was really upset about that. And then another part of me said, but Diane, do whatever it takes. And this is that competitive, I wouldn't even say spirit, because this is the shadow side of competition among women that is bred into us from things like that are told us, like, you need these if you want that. It's like this means to an end, that somehow we get hypnotized into thinking we need them to have a competitive edge against the other women. And the men are like, what are you guys doing to your body? Some men are like, well, those look kind of nice. But most men are like, I would rather see you happy and healthy. So over the years, I got really sick. My first bikini competition after getting breasts, I had SIBO, but I didn't even know it, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, because my belly was so bloated. Imagine being on stage in a blingy bikini, wearing next to nothing, wearing these Cinderella heels that are blinged out and super sparkly, and feeling like all you want to do is fart and pass gas, because your stomach is so bloated and you're so uncomfortable, and you're just on stage trying to look like, oh, look, I have this 6-pack, but really it's like, ow. Oh. That's how I felt at the beginning of my breast implants, but I never pointed the finger at those.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you just, after you got those SIBO, and then did it just sort of continue from there in this downward spiral, or how did it unfold for you?
And before you answer really quickly, I want to just say, because I know the answer to this, but you did compete without your breast implants, and then have you competed after?
Yeah. Well, that's
without them. So that's
So I did my first 2 shows without them. My first show I did really well. The second show I got first overall, and so that was like, wow, how'd you do that? And I was like, well, I guess I'm just an athlete, and I also, it's how you present yourself. And really that's what I share with so many people. It's not even so much about the way you look. It's about the way that you feel about the way you look. No matter what you look like, it's about this energy that you carry. And so the energy that I carried on stage, the second show, I won overall, qualified for nationals. This third show, I competed in state and got almost dead last. And so the question that I asked myself is, did my spirit know better? Did my spirit know that I cheated on my temple by cutting myself open and putting 500 cc's across my heart? And it's like almost like I can't carry myself as the exuberant light being that I was before, because I knew I was cheating. Because I'm not a cheater. I'm not that kind of person, but I did, and I made that choice. And so now I did make a choice to compete in November and in Vegas, actually, in a bikini competition. Because I was doing figure before in the bikini, different kind of classes. One's more muscly, one's a little bit less muscly. And let's see about that, Diana, because as you can see here and later on the podcast, I have a boot. What's this all a boot? I ruptured my Achilles tendon playing soccer, the love of my life, 3 months after I had my breast implants removed, because it is well known that all of the antibiotics that we take through this procedure, and also a lot of women take to try to clear the bacteria from their body, whether it's from SIBO or a lot of these things that are harbored in between the capsule that our body forms, in between the implant, and to try to protect us from the foreign invader. In between there, they're finding lots of bacterial strains that the body can't get to. Our own natural immune system can't even get to it because it's barricaded in between. Antibiotics can't get there. So you see a lot of women taking lots and lots of antibiotics. And what that's doing is it's destroying our tissues, our connective tissues. And women who have breast implants, we already are known to self-attack our own collagen, which is an autoimmune disease and component in of itself. So I probably have a lot going on here with why my Achilles tendon ruptured at the age of 40 after playing soccer for 36 years, just right after I had these things taken out. There's a lot of toxins leaving my body now, but I'm still determined to hop on stage, maybe literally hop on stage in November, which is a couple months away, and just do it anyway, Diana, because I think it's just, my goal is to step on stage and say, you know what, we don't have to have fake breasts to be proportionate, as air quotes, as they say. When you have low body fat, I'm going to go out there because I love my body and I want to make a statement that we don't need breast implants to make us beautiful.
Isn't that fabulous?
Well, there's that message, that you got that, well, we're not good enough the way we are.
Yeah.
I think women get too many of those messages, don't we? I mean, we got to undo that.
And
that's the virus.
We are taking back our power. We are doing it, and we are sharing that. And I love that you're doing that. As I've read some of the thread about people's opinions, whether they matter or not, and your comeback and your thoughts on why you're doing this is just so solid. And I'm so supportive of you. So thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, back at you, sister. I'm supportive of you. And now it's like I just hold my breasts and I hold my heart and I hold my body, and it's like so much forgiveness for what I've put my body through and what we all put our body through in the name of what? What is it for? Like, really, truly, what is all of this for? Because Barbie, because Baywatch, because Playboy, because what? What is it that we have been so hypnotized into thinking that we need to look, act, think, be a certain way in order to get approval and needs met from others? And that's what I research and study and help women free themselves with the most, is the agenda of the ego. And that is there's multiple things that the ego wants, and that's to either fight, flight, freeze, or facade. And this is a facade. We are cutting ourselves open and doing things to impress other people that we don't even know, to get a life that we don't even know that we really want because we've been taught that we should want it. So really to step back and analyze this whole thing and go, why did I want breast implants to begin with? Because I was told that it would be a means to an end to something and I would win something. at what expense? And that's what is not being taught to women who are getting breast implants. And that's what I'm here to change, is awareness, so that people really understand that getting breast implants comes at a great cost. And for many people, we are seeing women come into our practice. We don't have a physical practice. We have a telemedicine practice, and we help women with this all around the world because it's such a unique approach. And we are the only ones that have coined this term to look at the toxicity, the infection, the trauma, and the shame, and to address all of that. We've got women in wheelchairs, diagnosed with lupus, with MS, very sick babies with gut dysbiosis and such bad gut tests that we're testing that we've never even seen in adults. And these are the children of mothers with breast implants. And these mothers can only eat 5 foods. This is an epidemic and it needs to stop.
Mm. You mentioned a lot of autoimmune diseases just now. And of course, our audience is thyroid specific, and a lot of autoimmune patients, a lot of Hashimoto's and Graves. What do thyroid patients and autoimmune patients who have breast implants or are considering breast implants need to know right now?
Yeah, good question. Thanks for the question, Jenny. So I'll start with a statistic. And the first one would be that years ago, the FDA had requested that a lot of these companies who are manufacturing breast implants do a long-term study to prove the efficacy, because a few decades ago, they were having, lots of women were dying from this. I know some of them, my friends whose mothers died from these things. And so they said, well, we need a study. So they demanded a study, and it never finished. It never happened because there's a lot of women getting very sick, and those women were getting kicked out of studies. Those women who were sick. This is how they skew the research. So another company said, we're going to do a third-party research study. And they did a long-term 10-year, 100,000 plus women study. And all of this, I can give you guys the links to put in show notes. Mm-hmm. I have an article that's called 33 Reasons Not to Get Breast Implants Your Doctor Didn't Warn You About. And this is all the data that I've been compiling over 1 year time period from multiple different sources. So it's all there. I took it all and put it in one place like an accordion, said, you want the research? Here it is. Just lots and lots and lots of it. This is the other side of it. This is the dark side of it. So of these 100,000 women, that study concluded that the risk of certain autoimmune diseases increased by 800%. That was Sjogren syndrome, 700% for scleroderma, and 600% for arthritis. This is just a few that were researched for women with implants compared to the general population of women in that same age category without breast implants. So of course you can conclude that there are other autoimmune diseases, that there's over 130 types of autoimmune diseases today. I myself am a Hashimoto's warrior. I used to have Hashimoto's, and that was about 6 years ago. So after I got off stage, that time after I got almost dead last, I decided not to compete anymore. I became a yoga teacher, and I started studying holistic health, and I became a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. And I started studying functional medicine and how we can cleanse our body and heal our hormones and address the gut and balance the whole body out in order to heal and self-regulate and self-heal, because these were things that were not talked about in allopathy. And they were like, oh, your blood tests look fine and your thyroid looks fine. And my thyroid journey started at the age of 19, where I was like, why am I always so cold? Why are my extremities so annoyingly cold? And they're like, I don't know, everything looks fine. And I'm like, that's not a good answer. So over time, I realized that I've had a thyroid problem for a long time. And I don't believe that women that have diagnosed autoimmune diseases or that have these things that maybe have been undiagnosed, that can be diagnosed by someone like possibly yourselves or myself, who do these things in functional medicine and look at advanced labs to see what the real root causes are. If you have an autoimmune disease, you should not get breast implants, because that is actually going to prompt you even more, according to the research. So what thyroid people need to know, I have since regulated my antibodies by cleansing my body, but it just becomes an uphill battle when you have something living inside of you at all times, and you're constantly trying to cleanse out what these things are bleeding, because they all bleed. They all bleed the 38 plus toxins that are inside of them, silicone or saline. It doesn't matter. They're all bleeding. 98.6 is our body's temperature. Of course, just like plastic in a car gets, hot and it leaches the BPA in plastic from the plastic water bottle into the water. You should not drink that water, because BPA is an endocrine disruptor. It's a xenoestrogen. And so all of these things, they affect your thyroid. The one that I think is the most important for thyroid sufferers to know is that there are over 30 heavy metals in breast implants today. And those things absolutely do leak out slowly. They all bleed. They don't all rupture, but they all eventually bleed. All of this stuff is on that link that you guys will share in the show notes on the percentage and the prevalence. But if they're all leaking and moving into areas and migrating to areas of these bodies, what they do, these toxins do, is, also the plastic, also the silicone, they're all xenoestrogens. They look just like estrogen to our body. And so the cells go, oh, okay, come on in, estrogen, we could use you. But it's not, it's an imposter. And so these things block up the cell wall doors, and our own good stuff that we make by ourselves, our own estrogen can't get in. The same thing for minerals, the same thing for vitamins, the same thing for thyroid hormone. So if you've got all these bad girls blocking the cell wall door, no matter how much thyroid hormone that you take or make, or how many minerals or how many amazing supplements that you take are the healthiest foods of all, those things cannot get in as long as those toxins are blocking the cell wall door. So they will pass through your body, they will confuse the body, they'll go somewhere else, they might cause expansion of fat cells so that you can't lose weight. And also your thyroid needs a healthy liver to convert thyroid hormone from T4 to T3, because the majority of it's converted there. And what we find is that women with breast implants have extremely toxic backed up livers, and it slows down their metabolism. They can't convert thyroid hormone properly. I could go on and on and on about that, but that's just the beginning.
Wow.
What are some of the warning signs of this that women with breast implants should be on the lookout for? What are some of those kind of primary symptoms?
Here, I just took a nice deep breath there, Jenny. Yeah, I would be lucky to get one of those a day when I have my breast implants.
Wow.
One. Literally can't breathe. Literally panic attacks, feeling like, why can't I take a deep breath? And I'm not, okay, let me just be honest. I could be an anxious person here and there, but I'm more of an excited person, I would say, than an anxious person. I'm more excited about life. So I was having a hard time taking a deep breath. And because of that, I was more irritable. I was pushing things away because I couldn't handle more information, because I couldn't even handle my own inside information. I couldn't detox properly. Of course, I was gaining more weight, and I am an athlete. I've always been an athlete. So I'm like, why is it so hard to work out? Why am I so tired? I was having a hard time falling asleep because I wasn't making my own melatonin anymore. I did all my own lab testing far beyond blood, because we look deeper with urine and everything, 24-hour collections. My melatonin was almost nil. My testosterone was negative. The optimal range would be here, and then the reference range is here. Mine was like down here. I had estrogen dominance, which that comes with its own host set of symptoms. So it's really hard to say, like, is this the breast implants? Is it estrogen dominance? Is it the thyroid? Is it the And really, the breast implants were such a big root of the toxicity that I started losing a lot of these symptoms. I had, this was really scary. I had like what felt like heart palpitation, but they were zaps going across my chest. And I was scared. I'm like, is this a mini stroke? So my dad has had multiple strokes. I'm like, is this a mini stroke? Am I having a heart attack? Like, what is this? I was depressed and then anxious, and then depressed and then anxious. My body was so inflamed that when I look at videos of me before I had them removed on May 20th of this year, which is about 4 months ago or 3 months ago now, I look at my face and I was so puffy. I was just managing my inflammation. There was a point where I was no longer managing it. It was managing me. And so there was that threshold where I was like, I can't live like this anymore. Yeah.
No, I mean, that's me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I thought you wanted to.
No.
Yeah. It is like, you can't recruit enough firefighters in here. It's like a wildfire. You start to see how as above, so below, Mother Earth is suffering just like we are. She's got breast implants too. And it's in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, where there's like a Texas size ocean island of plastic. Those are her implants. I mean, as we heal women's bodies, we heal the world, because the less toxicity that's coming through us, the less that we're dumping it all over her. So this is why it's so important for us. If you want to heal the world, heal yourself. I have,
I just got bumps. I love that.
Yeah. It's like, she needs our help. And if you don't care about yourself, care about Mother Earth. So many of us have been taught not to care about ourselves. It's selfish. Well, this is really, I think, part of the agenda, where if you can help and heal yourself, then you can help and heal the world. I had the worst rashes. That was what started this whole thing 3 years ago. My eyes were so puffy that it looked like I had been beat literally by someone. I had 2 big puffy red eyes. I look at that picture and I get emotional. I'm like, I'm so sorry that I did this to you. I'm so sorry. I had such bad rashes on my neck that I was itching until I bled. My hair wasn't growing back. My body was itchy. My body was bumpy. Prednisone didn't do anything anymore. I went to the doctors. They gave me more antibiotics, more antifungals, and those worked until they didn't. They gave me creams. Those worked until they didn't. These things did not do anything for me. My hair was 50% of the growth that it was. It wasn't falling out, but it wasn't growing back. I was losing my life. I was losing my sense of self. I was losing my energy. And I had constant gut infection, constant. The thing that really did it for me was my rib was out again. I went and led a retreat in Costa Rica last year, and my rib popped out somehow in the middle of the flight. I don't know how. I wasn't doing any kind of sumo wrestling in the aisles. So I get out of the airplane. I'm like, ow, what is this? And as you're in an airplane, things shift around, just like when you open up your water bottle, like there's more air and bubbles pockets inside of your body. So things shifted around. My rib was out of place. Went to the doctor, a chiropractor. He's like, your ribs are out of place again. I'm like, what is going on? These implants move these things all around you. They cut tissues out, muscles here where you don't have. They literally cut out a part of your pec muscle that you could never get back again. They don't tell us that. So your ribs move around. Everything moves around. You start hovering like this. You block your heart chakra. So I was feeling like my heart was blocked too. So I couldn't sit like this. I had back pain, neck pain, thoracic pain like crazy. And when he muscle tested me, he said, your parasites are back. I'm like, they haven't left. My parasites have not left for 6 years. And I've been doing gut testing, advanced gut testing for 6 years. They have never left. Why are they there is the question. And the reason why they're there is because they have to be. They have to be there to mop up the metals from what's leaking from these breast implants 24/7. And the candida infections were never left. The bacterial overgrowth never left, no matter what. And I said, I can't be on a gut healing protocol for the rest of my life. I'm going to kill my good bugs too. And I went, well, I have to get rid of the source of why they're there to begin with. And I mean, there's a lot more to it than that. But I see so many women going on these bug killing sprees and taking more hormones and doing all these cleanses. But really the root cause is sitting right on top of our heart.
Well, and that's why we want to talk about this. I mean, this is maybe an unknown or unthought about root cause for a lot of people who have breast implants and are dealing with so many of these issues.
So many. And it never ends, and every woman's different. Every woman is different, but many of these things surface similarly to each woman.
And what's crazy to me is thinking about someone who doesn't have implants and all the things they're going through similar to that. Toxicity and issues, just health because they're thyroid and whatever. And then someone like me has all those things, just like that person, and I have implants. And so it's like, it's an uphill battle, feels like, which is why this is why it's so important and why I'm getting mine removed.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm so stoked that you are.
I know. Right? High five.
Can you give us some hope? Is there hope?
Yeah, absolutely.
Very ill, even for somebody who's had these implants in for 15 years. How long does it take to start feeling better after explantation surgery? Like, are there success stories? Can you tell us about the happy endings?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at me. Despite my Achilles tendon, I'm one of them. We see women on the other side of this, and it does require some effort. So we started the T.I.T.S method, which is to helping women experience their breast life by removing the obstacles that stand in their way of experiencing it, which is the toxicity, the infection, the trauma, and the shame. Because there is a huge emotional component to this. We see a lot of women who take their implants out and they're like, oh, I feel so much better. And you guys, I want to make sure you know the truth here too. The truth is that there's a lot of pictures circulating out there that are like, I remove my breast implants and that's all I need to do. And they show pictures of their before and after. And you may have seen this. You may see it now that I'm talking about it. It's like the before and after. And I have one of them too, but I waited to post it. I've been tracking that. You will see that these women will post and the whites of their eyes are much whiter. It does look like there's this big light that has been lifted off of them. They look like they have lost inflammation and gained vitality. And that's typically like the day after. But what then happens after that, because there's like 3 different kinds of antibiotics and things that they're using in our explant procedure, which is to say to remove the breast implants. And some women are getting lifts, some women are getting fat transfers. There's all different choices. I'll say it right now, you don't have to have freaking boobs in your perception of it. That's the number one reason why I waited 3 years to do it, because I thought I was going to look scary. But I didn't know that lifts and fat transfer and all these amazing things now were an option, where you could take fat from parts of your body and put it up to your breast where you lost possibly some tissue in this procedure. Because some women do. Some women have that happen. So a day, maybe a week after, some of these women's eyes, whites of their eyes are so much whiter that there's a lot of antibiotics being used. So it goes through and kills a lot of stuff, even the good stuff. But what ends up happening is there's this like boomerang effect where they feel great and there's a lot of hope. And you guys know that placebo is 60% of why we might have a healthy result or a not healthy result, nocebo. So 60%, the power and the biology of belief is so much of this. So that's why we focus on the trauma and the shame. It's your beliefs about yourself and your ability to heal could trump the most sick person. And not having a belief that you can self-regulate and self-heal could trump and override the best cleanse and supplement protocol that there is. So you've got to have them all on board. And that's where we see women healing fast, weeks, months, and they heal faster and don't end up in a wheelchair, which is where a lot of women come to us and like, I'm in a wheelchair, I've got lupus. I'm like, okay, let's do this. Do you believe that you can get rid of this lupus? Not your lupus. Stop owning your disease. My Hashimoto's, my migraines. Why is mine the beginning of migraines? Stop owning this stuff. That's what you've been taught by doctors, is that there's nothing you can do, but there is. So that's a huge belief structure. And that's 95% of it right there, is how you think, your beliefs, your value system. So when we start to work with women and really getting down to like, what are your thoughts? What are your habits? What are your choices? Where did you learn this stuff? Are you so identified with the family from which you came that you feel like you would disrespect them if you actually self-healed? Because it's not about your genetics. That's so not what it's about. It's about your epigenetics and the thoughts and the choices that you make from those thoughts and the habits every single day. There's 2 ways you can change big time. And that's habituation is one of them. This is the choices that you make every single day. Those become habits. And then hypnosis is another one, literally changing your mind. And that means you might lose some of your friends and family in the process, because they may throw stones at you because you're climbing and you're exposing their inaction with your action. Well, how dare you change and improve? And this happens often. So you really have to be willing to let go of a life that you had, that you perhaps created from the place of toxicity and a not enough story. And that's exactly what's happening. I'm breaking and people are falling out of my life. And I'm like, let them go. Like, you have to detox many parts of your life and be okay with that. Detoxing is not just chemicals from your body. It's also detoxing maybe people that you attracted from this life, from this space that you were not enough. And now that you are, oh gosh, what happens when you become an empowered person is people who are not empowered go, whoa, I don't know if I can keep up with this person. So we've got to cleanse the body first and really open up pathways. That's a huge part of this journey, is that you can't just go on a heavy metal cleansing protocol and that's it. We are so backed up from many years of this. And like Dana was saying, it's not just the breast implants. Like, that could have been like the one little tipping point, but we've got unhealthy filtered water. We've got unhealthy foods. We've got, people who are mean to us, or bosses that talk down to us. We have jobs that we hate. We have stressed out, families because we've got children running around and going to school. We've got a lot of stress today, more than ever. Chemical stress more than ever. Only takes 20 to 30 years of low-level heavy metal chemical exposure with heavy metals to have unsafe and unhealthy backed up high levels of them in our body. Then you add breast implants, then you have a whole nother big ticking time bomb. So we've got to open up all the pathways, make sure that people are pooping and peeing and sweating and doing all the things. People today are mostly constipated, every 2 to 3 days they're pooping maybe. and they're urinating, every couple hours and saying, oh, I've just got a small bladder. But no, really, that's the sign that your kidneys are really backed up and trying to clear a lot of the stuff out. So we've got to open up the pathways. We've got to then move the metals out of the body. We have to check the hormone status and make sure that you have enough metabolism and metabolic power to clear these things out. We got to turn the lights on with some minerals. We've got to look at the gut and make sure we understand, what kind of gut pathogens we've got going on in there, and not just go on a bug killing spree, but be compassionate. Like I said, is, hey, parasite, why are you here? Hey, candida, why are you here? Because we can often literally shoot ourselves in the foot by going after a bug, not realizing that that bug is a symptom and it's adaptive. It's there because it's trying to protect us and buffering us against the heavy metals. So if we go on a heavy metals killing spree without looking at the candida, we're also going against why the bug was there. There could be metals inside of the parasites too. So it's a whole ecosystem. This is holistic healing. And if you approach it this way, on the other side of that is complete freedom. It is beautiful. We are seeing women get out of their wheelchairs. We are seeing women heal in ways that they couldn't before for 10, 20, 30 years. We're seeing women that can take the vacation, that can't go back to work, because we're seeing some pretty sick women. We're seeing women who are getting their skin back. Like I was aging. That was the other one. You asked me this question earlier. My skin was aging faster than I knew it was supposed to at that age. And I was throwing all kinds of treatments at it. And that's very expensive to throw treatments at it when you don't know the root cause is living over your heart. So my skin looks amazing. My hair is growing back again. And the people that I'm attracting into my life and the opportunities are pure. They're beautiful. I'm in my heart now. I've never felt so free and so pure and so self-loving and so self-protecting and so self-reverent of my body than I do now. I feel like I got out of a prison and I'm just now learning how to use my wings.
So the hope is there's light. I feel it with you. I feel like I'm floating now because of all of this. It was a process and, not such a great process at times and all of that, but look where you are now. The hope is there. The hope is look how amazing you can feel and all the things that you're going to create in your life. I mean, I feel it. I feel like I'm floating after you saying all of that. So that's what the hope is. I feel it.
And it's the people who, not that it's all about outside approval, but it's the people who go, Diane, you look so beautiful now. Like you have always been beautiful. And maybe that's from the inside. I'm not saying this from ego, but like you look so alive. And the people who are seeing that light, that says a lot. They can see it. They're like, I always thought that those breast implants didn't look good on you. I'm like, thanks for telling me.
Right. I can feel it. I can see it. You look like you're floating and it's magnetic.
It's internal.
It's internal.
And I love the way that you just put all that. I mean, that is the mission that we share. It's that belief that we are worthy of healing, that we are capable of healing, and overcoming some of our training and education about we're not enough. Solutions come in a pill bottle or, there's a quick fix for things. Like it doesn't work that way. And I love it that your T.I.T.S program focuses on not just the breasts and the explantation surgery and the infection and but the trauma and the shame, because you are worth it and you can heal and you can feel better. And it's so much about being in relationship, right? With ourselves. Yeah. How are we in relationship with ourselves, with each other, with the planet? And I love that you tied that all in together, that it isn't just about our health as individuals. This is about our health as a planet.
Yeah. Yep.
As a species.
And that's so big and so profound and so small at the same time. Like, if I were to get off the phone and go tell my husband, this whole breast implant, but basically it's healing the world. I mean, it's interesting how this can affect that and how this really relates to that. And I love it because this whole talk and although there is this breast implant illness and I have them and you had them and all that, at the same time, it's really all about owning and loving and being accepting of yourself. And when you do that, it projects out and look what a better place, look what a better planet, look what a better life we have, you know?
Absolutely. The warriors within to solve the world's issues. And I want to add something, because part of this cycle of shame is really like what you ladies were both saying, which I love your reflections and the downloads of what I just shared. And I hope the listeners are getting some of that self-love juice too, is that it's not enough to intellectualize what we're saying, because everybody knows we should. And we should all over ourselves all day long. I should love my body. I should, not want breast implants. I should not want Botox. But what's wrong with me that I want all these things, right? This is all in the conscious mind. But what's really going on and how we really change this and make it real and make it stick is we have to get into our subconscious. And that's all that old school programming, the tapes that we were played up until the age of 7. That's where all of this was shaped. That's why I don't watch TV. And if I ever had kids, I wouldn't probably let them watch TV, because the programming, the television, the vision they're telling us, the television of how we're supposed to look, and the drugs we're supposed to take, and the car we're supposed to drive, and the Fritos we're supposed to eat, and all of this consumption that is super toxic for the planet. And what happens is that we see all of this at an early age, and it's all back here. So we can consciously do all the yoga and do all the mantras and do all the essential oils and do all the things, but somewhere back here in our subconscious, that's driving. And we've got to go back there. And that's what we do in our T.I.T.S method, is that we go back there and we rewire how you see the world. So you can literally see everything differently. I heard Spirit say to me, do not remove your breast implants until you learn the lesson you got them to teach you. And the day I learned the lesson, the day I sat in my sauna sweating, but also feeling all of the lumps in my breasts and wondering if I really come here and sang the song I came here to sing. Did I really deliver the message that my spirit came here to educate the masses on, to inspire and to uplift and truly connect? Did I live my life? Did I play full out? Did I connect with those I want to connect with? Did I say how much I love people? And would I be okay dying tomorrow if I have breast cancer or something that's going on? Not like breast cancer is a death sentence, but what's going on with my body? Is this coming to an end for me? And that really shifted it for me. No, I didn't. And I'm coming back, and I'm going to fight some more, and fight with my heart, not my ego, not fight against myself, not live in resistance. And that's something that I want all of you guys to understand too, is that 70% of our days are spent in fight or flight now. 70%. That is your body and your brain perceiving danger and threats. And we're constantly feeling like we need to run away from something. But we can't run away from our problems. The more we run away and resist what is, the more we're creating our own chaos inside. And as long as we're in this fight or flight and just draining our adrenals, which then drains our thyroid and drains everything, we're running away from all these things, we're running away from ourselves, then what happens is, as long as you're in fight or flight, you're focused on the self. You have to literally be selfish. If we have something in our subconscious that says something's wrong, and really there's nothing wrong, it's just an association from a past memory that was a danger, like maybe even relationships. Oh, I was in a relationship, it ended in divorce, I got hurt. That means relationships are bad because relationships end in hurt. But what about all the love in between? No, relationships end in hurt. So love means bad things, so I'm going to avoid love. And when we do that, and we're focused on the stress of whatever we make stuff mean, that we can literally, we can reprogram that. You have the power to reprogram that. We help people do that. So then you stop, you're not in fight or flight as much anymore. And you're not so focused on the self, and you can start thinking about everybody else too, and self at the same time. So fight or flight says, focus on the self, which means buy more clothes, get breast implants, look good, post selfies. It's all about me, needing confirmation, needing affirmation, needing someone to compliment me. That's not working for us. So the actual antidote to all of this is to calm the central nervous system, to chill out, to get everything out of the way that's standing in your way of being able to be present with yourself in a peaceful place, because that's where it is. If we're in a fight or flight, we have to be focused on self to literally run away from a tiger so we don't get eaten. We have to focus on the body, get away. And then when we're in safety, like zebras would do, and they're being chased by a tiger, they chill out again. The tiger's gone. They can chill out. So if we can find that space inside of us and do that every single day and focus and focus and focus on being embodied, then we can focus less on the physical body because we're now outside of fight or flight. Mm-hmm. It is such a whole dynamic that when we see all of those things playing together, women have transformation and freedom and they own their body again.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know there's people listening who are like, I need to know this woman. How do I find Diane online? So can you tell us how people can connect with you and find out more about this?
Yes. And I love connecting with people. I always have, but before in May, before I had these things taken out, I was like, I can't connect to anybody else because I don't even know if I'm going to be alive after all of this. It was scary. So there are times that I didn't want to connect, but now I'm just so open for this and my heart's open and this is my mission, DianeKazer.com. There's all kinds of things. If you go to DianeKazer.com, you guys might be like, wait, whoa, breast implant illness. What is this? So if you go to my website, you'll see on the blog section, there's lots of videos and lots of blogs of like, oh, what I just now discovered breast implant illness. Now what? Or like, I'm getting them removed. What do I do after that? All along the journey, there's multiple blogs, watch the videos, see what resonates. We have a Facebook group that you'll find from that website. From there, you can find everything. You know, you can find my podcast, you can find my YouTube videos, you can find how to connect with me on Instagram and on Facebook. And then I'd love to hear from you guys. There's no stupid questions. The only stupid question is one that's not asked.
And before we let you go, what are your 3 main takeaways for the listeners today? I know we've touched on lots of things, but like 3 things that they can take away from just you from today.
Yeah. Okay. So I can tie this to anybody, breast implants or not. Really watch how you are feeding your body. So every decision, every choice, everything at the end of your fork, everything you put on your body is a choice to either add trash to your body or add love to your body. Every choice. And so I love to slow that down and say, am I helping or hindering here? So ask that question, you know, is this loving or loathing? And really understanding what toxicity is and understanding what it does to your body is really important. So these things are always harming our body. There's not one person that is exempt from adding toxins to the body and having an effect. It may not have an immediate effect, but it definitely has a downstream effect. And it could take a while, but everything. And even if you love the planet, but you don't love yourself, adding toxins to your body, you have to pee them out. You got to poop them out. 70% of detox is breathing it out. So you are adding to the toxic trash problem with the toxins that you're putting onto your body. So know that too, that it's not just about you. This becomes like a global effect that if you really want to heal the world, start with asking yourself the questions of what am I putting in my mouth, on my body, in my hair, and what are the thoughts that I'm thinking? So are they loving or are they not? So that's one of them is what are you feeding your mind, body, heart, and spirit throughout the entire day? The other thing I would say is there's a condition that I coined and it's PTFD and it's point the finger disorder. Point the finger disorder. It's not my fault. It's everybody else's fault. It's the doctor's fault that they, didn't tell me that the breast implants were bad. It's my husband's fault because he pissed me off. It's my boss's fault because it gave me too much work. And it's really the acronym, and to take it back to owning your own power and taking your power back is PTF me. Point the finger at me. So by doing that, you can say, how am I contributing to my problems? How can I take ownership and OYS, own your stuff? How can I take ownership of everything that's happening, not to me, but for me? So happening to me is a victim stance. Happening for me is a victorious stance. So take your power back and say, how am I contributing to this whole equation? And that's really hard. But you know what's harder? Is living this life as a disempowered soul that is lost and putting so much trust in everybody else to fix you. So that's the last thing I'll say is as you're PTFDing and pointing the finger at me, you're taking ownership and you're asking questions to the doctor or anybody, what's in this drug? What is this doing for me long term? So the third part is to really develop a relationship with yourself. All of the things you're going to hear out there is that it's so selfish that you take time for yourself. And you're going to hear women say that to you. Moms may say that to you, like, oh, how dare you? That's their own stuff. That's their own guilt and shame projected onto you. All blame out there is internal shame projected outward as blame. So if you really want to know who you think you are, look at the judgments that you have about everybody else. All judgment out there is judgment of self, and it's all a wake-up call to invite you to look in the mirror and say, how is it that I see myself based on how I see the world? And all of this is the ego's agenda, and a big part of it's not your fault. But it starts with self-love. It starts with slowing down and really getting real and raw with yourself to ask the hard questions that other people may not. How can I love myself more today? How can I love life more today? And that's habituation. Every day you start with the question, how can I express what I came here to express? How can I be a better person for expressing whatever it is into the world? That's your soul goal. And that's the work that we do in the very first week in our program. What is it all for? What are you here for? What's it all for? 86% of people look at their phone when they wake up in the morning and they look at their messages and everything. Well, now you're hypnotized and you're in it for someone else. But when are you in it for you? The more you give to you, the more that you give back to the world in the most self-loving way, of course, because there's light and shadow side to that too. So that's it.
I love that. I just love the way you put things, Diane, with the, yes, we are hypnotized. And thank you so much for your three main takeaways for the listeners. So think about how you're feeding yourself. What are you putting in and on your body? Switch from PTFD, point the finger disorder, to PTF me, right? It's about taking responsibility. I mean, this is one of the few truths I believe in, is that the happiest, most fulfilled or at peace people I know are the ones who take most responsibility for themselves, their lives, their health.
Agreed.
And then finally, self-love. How are we in relationship with ourselves? How are we talking to ourselves? How are we, treating ourselves through our challenges? So these are all such good, wonderful, enlightening ideas that you've shared with us today. Breast implants or no breast implants. So thank you so much for being here with us today, Diane. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
For our listeners, you can find Diane at dianekazer.com. And thank you all for joining us for another episode of Thyroid Refresh TV, where we give you the inspiration and information you need to live thyroid healthy. To receive your free Thyroid Thrivers grocery guide, you can visit thyroidrefresh.com. And to learn more about Thyroid 30, our revolutionary 30-day wellness adventure, go to thyroidrefresh.com/thyroid30. You do have the power to heal, and we have the tools.
And if you've enjoyed this podcast and would like to help us continue inspiring and empowering thyroid patients worldwide, please leave us a review on iTunes. It would make our day, I promise. And you are what makes this community the amazing resource that it is. And we so appreciate you and your support and your listenership. We're Dana and Jenny, wishing you the best of health. See you next time. Thanks, guys.